Good evening everyone. I hope I am audible and my screen is visible. So once I get a go ahead, I think we can start with the session today. So I'll just connect my phone as well so that I can see the chat and everything, and then we can get going once everything is clear. Yes? All right. All right, perfect. Okay, so I think everything is fine, and yes, so we are good to go. So today we have this daily drill on geometry, and we have 10 questions today that we'll be solving. And I hope all of you have taken the test. If you haven't, it's recommended that you take the test before you turn up for the session, because that way you would have gone through all the questions once. You would have had time to think about the questions. You would have known what the answer keys look like, and then you will be able to solve the questions with me in a much more efficient manner, right? But having said that, even if you solve along, I think you should be able to manage most of the questions. Should not be a problem at all. So today we are finishing the 4th week of our daily drill. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, all of them are there in a playlist, the link to which will be there in the description box below, or you can find it on the channel directly as well. So all those daily drills you can access from the channel itself. And again, I have been seeing a lot of people pick up daily drills and revisit these videos. So that is an encouraging sign. I would suggest that you also do the same. All right. So on that note, let's get going with the session. So we have 10 questions. We have a lot of ground to cover today. So let's start with the first question. I'll give you maybe a minute or so to solve this. So it's 8:03 now. I will give you time till 8:05, and at 8:05 we will start solving this particular question. So till then, have a look at it, see what you think about the particular think about this question, and then we can start with the solution. So fairly straightforward question. ABCD is a quadrilateral inscribed in a circle with center O. Such that O lies inside the quadrilateral, and there are a couple of angles that have been given to you, and you are supposed to find the another angle, basically a third angle that exists. Okay? Till the time the rest of you are solving it, there is one concept that I would want to tell all of you. So those of you who are not very good at geometry, pay attention. So let's say this is a circle with center O, right? Let's say this is AB, right? So there are 2 points on this circle, AB, and this is point C. Now let's say if I join ACB, if I join the points ACB and I join these points AOB, there is one basic theorem, one basic concept that exists. It's called inscribed angle theorem, you can say. So whenever you get a circle, it is basically going to be an arc of 360 degrees. An entire circle is of 360 degrees. Now if you break it down into smaller parts, there will be smaller arcs that will be formed. अब वो arcs का क्या मतलब है? Arcs are basically measurements of angles. So if you start from OA and if you travel this distance along the circumference and reach OB, so that means that you have traversed an arc. मतलब एक arc हमने plot किया है. That is basically the meaning of having an arc. So when we are measuring this angle, we will say that this angle is nothing but, let's say, theta degrees. थीटा डिग्रीज क्या बोल रहे हैं हम लोग यहाँ पे? OA से लेके OB जाने में जो एंगल हम प्लॉट कर रहे हैं, दैट एंगल इज थीटा डिग्रीज. Now one thing you have to understand, if I am taking the same endpoints, A और B ही endpoints ले रहे हैं, but instead of the vertex being at the center, the vertex is now at the circumference. Then we can say that angle ACB जो होगा, that will be equal to half of theta, or half of angle AOB, or you can say half of arc AB. जो minor arc है, छोटा arc है AB, half of that will be the measure of the angle. So that is what we are saying in this particular context. ये अगर पता होगा तो you will be able to manage this question easily, right? So on that note, let's start solving this particular question and let's see how that goes. Now ABCD is a quadrilateral inscribed in a circle with center O, such that O lies inside the quadrilateral. So again, let's try to draw a circle. So okay, let's try to draw a circle again. All right, slightly better. Okay, so this is the circle. Now we have ABCD, a quadrilateral that is inscribed in a circle. So let's say this is some quadrilateral. I'm just drawing a rough figure. I don't know if this is the exact dimension or something, but let's say we are drawing ABCD, the quadrilateral, and we know that O is present inside this quadrilateral. We know that angle COD is 120 degrees. So if I join COD, ये वाला जो angle है ना, this entire angle is 120 degrees. That's what we know. And angle BAC is 30 degrees. So ये जो BAC वाला जो angle बनेगा, this angle is 30 degrees. I'm consciously not making this line go through the center because we don't know if it will go through the center or not. Now we have to find what is the measure of this angle BCD. तो BCD वाला angle अगर अपने को मिल जाएगा तो अपना काम निकल गया यहाँ पे. Right, so that is basically what we are looking at in this particular context. So let's see what this entire question looks like. Now we have seen this nice diagram that we had drawn. We have said that if the angle between A and B or AO and BO is theta, then ACB wala angle becomes theta by 2, half of this angle. That's what we are trying to say. So यहाँ पे भी if you look at this angle BAC na, angle BAC, can you say that this will be half of angle BOC? It's exactly the same context, right? ये वाला जो angle था और ये वाला जो angle था, the central angle will be twice that of the inscribed angle. That is what we are trying to say here, right? So angle BAC will be half of angle BOC. That is what we know here, right? But we know that angle BAC is 30 degrees. So angle BOC कितना बनेगा? Angle BOC will be 60 degrees now. Now the funny thing is, if angle BOC is 60 degrees and angle angle COD is 120 degrees, this OC is common to both these lines, na? And together this will make an angle of 180 degrees. So we can say that angle BOC plus angle COD equals 180 degrees. That's what we know here. Because we know that this angle is 180 degrees, we can say that BD is a diameter. We can say that BD is a straight line that passes through the center, which basically is a diameter, right? So now BD becomes the diameter. If BD is the diameter, angle subtended by the diameter. So if you have any circle and if something is the diameter, जो भी angle ऐसे form होगा ना, जो diameter पे जिसका hypotenuse होगा, you can say, or the longest side होगा, that will basically be a right angled triangle. And that's why we are going to get measure angle BCD equals 90 degrees. That's it. So fairly straightforward question. You need not get into complicated things here and there. You just know that अच्छा यहाँ पे if BOC is 60 degrees and COD is 120 degrees, both of them are on the same. They share the same segment ना. So OC is a segment that both of them share. अब अगर एक angle 60 है और एक angle 120 है, together they have to make a straight line. And if BOD is a straight line, it basically means that BD is the diameter. Right? So BD is the diameter, which means that angle BCD should be 90 degrees. So fairly straightforward question, manageable question, and I hope all of you got it. Yeah. If there are any doubts, anything, let me know. I see quite a few people have joined now. So this was the first question that we did. So I hope all of you have figured it out. You can just rewind it a bit and check the question. It's a fairly manageable, straightforward question. So I hope all of you are able to get it. Okay, I'll show you the second question till that time for people who are already with us when we started. So you can have a look at the second question. Those of you who are watching the first question now or have just figured it out, let me know if you have understood it properly, and then we can move ahead. And if there is some issue, then let me know. कुछ भी अगर समझ में नहीं आया है, if there is something that you would like more clarity on, let me know, and we can have a look at it. And यहाँ पे I will give you another 1.5-ish minutes. So 8-12 तक you can try this. And then we can start with the solution to this particular question. All right. So in general, if you look at these kind of questions, now in geometry, you will see that there will be a lot of overlap with other topics as well. So this is basically a topic that we have, as in something that you have in terms of arithmetic mean compared to geometric mean compared to harmonic mean. तो वो वाला inequality जो है, that is something that you might find useful in this particular context. So see if that makes sense to you. and then we can start with this one. So if you know this basic concept, I think you should be fine. Arithmetic mean is always greater than or equal to geometric mean for positive numbers. Positive real numbers के लिए arithmetic mean is always greater than or equal to the geometric mean. Yeah, so let's start with this one. Let's have a look at this question. Fairly straightforward question. Now, three sides of a rectangular park have a total length of 400 feet. We have to find what is the area, or when is the area of the park maximum, right? And we have to find what is the length of its longer side. So whichever is the longer side, uska dimension अगर अपने को पता चल गया तो we should be fine. Let's say for example that the sides of the rectangular park are A, B, B. ठीक है, ये चार sides हैं हमारे पास. Let's say. Now what happens in this context? We know that two sides will be equal. अगर मैं तीन sides को add कर रहा हूं तो, and one side will be the unequal one. So let's say for example हम लोग लेते हैं 2a plus b. Now 2a plus b is nothing but 400. That is what has been given to us. Now we can use this property because a, b are both going to be positive numbers because it is a rectangle and length has to be positive. We can just substitute these two terms and see what happens. So if we have two terms, 2a and b, let's say for example, right? Because we want to find what is the maximum value of one side, तो या तो a का value निकाल maximize करना पड़ेगा या तो b का value maximize करना पड़ेगा. So let's see what happens in this context. Let's say we have two terms, 2a and b, and both of them are positive. We can say that the average of these two terms will be greater than or equal to the product or the square root of the product of these two terms. So 2a plus b by 2 will be greater than or equal to root 2ab, right? Now what happens in this case is, let's simplify this and see what happens. 2a plus b is 400, so 400 by 2 will be 200. 200 is greater than or equal to root of 2ab. Let's say I remove the square root from both sides. I'll get 2ab less than or equal to 200 square. Okay? Or in other words, ab is going to be less than or equal to 200 into 100 हो जाएगा. 2 will get cancelled out from both sides. तो कुछ 20,000 आएगा. Doesn't matter. Now the point is, AB, the area will always be less than or equal to 200 into 100. So the maximum value that the area can take will be 200 into 100. But when will this maximum happen? AM is greater than or equal to GM मेरे को पता है. But when will AM be equal to GM, or when will GM be equal to AM? GM is equal to AM when all terms are equal. When all the constituent terms are equal, only then your GM will be equal to your AM. अब यहाँ पे constituent terms क्या थे? 2a and b were the constituent terms. So 2a should be equal to b in this context. ठीक है? 2a should be equal to b in this context. अब यहाँ पे अगर ये वाला part देख लेते हैं ना, so 2a and b are essentially the same number, and this should give me 200 into 200. So each of them has to be equal to 200. So we can say that b is equal to 200 and a is equal to 100. So the sides of the rectangle will be 200, 200, 100 and 100. And अगर ये तीन sides को add करेंगे, you are going to get 400 as the sum of the length of the three sides that we have. So we can say with absolute certainty that the longer side is 200 if we want to maximize the area of this rectangle. ठीक है? So by using a very simple concept, you can manage this. Intuitively भी इसको solve कर सकते हैं. So 400 है, 3 sides है, How exactly to do it? You try to maximize one side as much as you can. You can play with numbers by a bit and you can see what happens, right? You can say 400 by 3, 400 by 3, 400 by 3 square ले लेंगे. But then you will realize कि ऐसा नहीं चलता because we are adding 3 sides, not all 4 sides. So we can't equate it, right? That's why 2a plus b will work well. तो 2a plus b अगर समझ में आ गया, you can say that 2a is 1/2 and b is 1/2. वहीं से you can do it instead of getting into this AMGM and doing it, right? Doing it is another story. Knowing that you have to do it and knowing that the value of the GM will be maximum, the geometric mean will be maximum when the two terms are equal. अगर ये भी समझ में आ गया, you can easily do 2a equals b equals 200 and finish it off here itself. So someone who is a conscious aspirant will do 200 here, 200 here and finish it off here itself instead of getting into all these things. ठीक है? But of course this comes with a lot of practice and with a lot of conviction. तो ही होगा, नहीं तो you will not really be convinced कि मेरे को यही आंसर मार्क करना चाहिए. Alright, I hope this is clear to everyone. We will look at another question and till then you can just have a look at the previous one. कुछ भी अगर doubt है in the first two questions, let me know and I can address them before we go ahead. So should not be an issue. The third question is very important, very interesting by the way, and I will share one small property. We can start this one at 8:19. तो इसका एक बहुत ही simple property है. I'll just share it with you. In any right angled triangle. अच्छा ठीक है, you try it out on your own, then I will tell you what the property is. Right, it's a very interesting property. So that will help you in terms of how to look at the hypotenuse, how to look at the semi-perimeter and so on. In fact, I like proving this property, so I'll try to prove it also for you. ठीक है? Let me see. Yeah. That is the property. We'll prove it first and then we'll start with the solution. It's a very important property that exists and the proof is also fairly straightforward. The easy proof hai. I think you'll be able to manage that proof as well. So we'll look at the proof before we start with the solution. Alright? Yes. So let's get going with this one. So here I have written this thing, right? R is nothing but the in radius. So in any right angled triangle, the length of the in radius or the radius of the in circle that exists will be nothing but sum of the two sides that make the right angle minus length of the hypotenuse, the whole thing divided by 2. So a plus b minus c divided by 2 होगा value of r. अब ये कैसे मिल गया मेरे को यहाँ पे? So let's look at this figure. तो ये entire length is a, this entire length is b and this entire length is c. That's what we know. Now if this part is r, this part will also be r. So ये जो बचा हुआ part है वो क्या बन गया? b minus r. Similarly, if this part is r, this remaining part will become a minus r. Now because these two are tangents to the same circle from the same outer point, external point, this part of the hypotenuse will be a minus r and this part of the hypotenuse will be b minus r. So we are able to say here that c is nothing but a minus r plus b minus r. Or in other words, 2r will be equal to a plus b minus c, or r will be equal to a plus b minus c divided by 2. Very very important concept, very very important proof. अगर ये पता होगा, you will be able to solve this question very easily. Otherwise, you might struggle with this question. Right? Now let's look at this particular question and let's try to see what happens. Now in this question, a good thing that we have been given is it's a right angled isosceles triangle. Right? Isosceles triangle है. So let's say for example, in the isosceles triangle, the equal sides are of length x. So अगर दोनों equal sides are of length x, the hypotenuse becomes x root 2 का, because it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle is what we have here. The perpendicular distance of P from each of AB, BC and CA. Arkudipto, yes, your answer is right, I think. Perpendicular distance from each side is equal. So that is nothing but the in radius. So whenever someone tells you कि कोई एक point है और that point is equidistant from each of the sides, then we can say with confidence that this is nothing but the in center and the distance that we are talking about is the in radius. ठीक है? Now we have been told that the in radius is nothing but 4 into root 2 minus 1. So I can say that this is nothing but 4 into root 2 minus 1. That is the in radius. R हो गया ये. But we know that this is nothing but a plus b minus c divided by 2. और क्वेश्चन क्या पूछा है? एरिया कितना है ये पूछा हुआ है. So let's try to see what happens. A is x in this context, b is also x, and c is minus, I'm so sorry, c is x root 2. X root 2 and the entire thing divided by 2. That is 4 into root 2 minus 1. So I can just shuffle the terms. I can say that this is 8 into root 2 minus 1. This will be nothing but 2x minus x root 2. Now if I take x root 2 outside, what am I going to get? X root 2 into root 2 will give me 2x and x root 2 as it is, so this will be minus 1. So 8 into root 2 minus 1 is x root 2 into root 2 minus 1. I can simply cancel out root 2 minus 1 from both sides. So I am left with x root 2 equals 8 or x equals 4 times root 2. Right? 4 times root 2 is what we are going to get as the value of x. What is the area of triangle ABC? Half into x square or half into 4 root 2 the whole square. 4 square is 16, root 2 square is 2. The area of this triangle will be 16 square centimeters. So Arkadipto, your answer was right. Okay, but you should know this property. That is the whole point of it. If you don't know this property, then you might end up getting into a lot of random things. Then you might get into this form. Half into, okay, yeah. Half into x will be equal to r into the semi-perimeter. So 4 into root 2 minus 1 into the semi-perimeter of the triangle, which is 2x plus x root 2 divided by 2. You'll get the same answer. 1x will get cancelled out and so on. That is also possible, but then this becomes too complicated for you. If you know this form, then this is basically a two-step or a one-step process that you are going to follow. Okay? Another formula that exists in terms of right angle triangles and semi-perimeter is area of any triangle is given by r into s, where r is the in radius, same concept, and s is the semi-perimeter, half of the perimeter. ठीक है, इससे भी वही आंसर आएगा. You will still be able to manage it, but because this term is slightly complicated, multiplying it with the semi perimeter, which in itself will be x plus x root 2 divided by 2, फिर वहां से root 2 कट जाएगा and all those things will happen, then it will become slightly painful. I'm not saying it will be difficult, but थोड़ा painful हो सकता है. It has the potential to become painful. That is what I'm trying to say. But otherwise, for all practical purposes, learn this thing. It's a fairly straightforward thing to remember. अगर याद नहीं रहता, you can figure out the derivation और वहां से याद रह जाएगा. ठीक है. Let's look at the next one. In case someone has not understood the previous one, let me know. तब तक I'll just show this one for the benefit of all of you who are done with the previous question. So try this question once and then we'll have a look at the solution. So maybe I'll give you a minute and a half to think about this. 826, we can start with this one. So let me know if you have any doubts pertaining to the previous ones. So we can handle that. Yeah. So let's have a look at this one. Now we have in a circle two parallel chords on the same side of the diameter. Yeah, I think you're right, Arkodipto. ठीक है, two sides of the same side of the diameter have lengths 4 centimeter and 6 centimeters. तो जो दूर वाला chord होगा that will be shorter and the chord that is nearer to the center will be the longer chord. So this chord will be the 4 centimeter chord and this chord will be the 6 centimeter chord. So let's say for example this is O, let's say this is AB and let's say this is CD. ठीक है. The distance between these chords is 1 centimeter. We have to find the radius of the circle. So here we have to understand one thing: the line joining the center or the perpendicular that is dropped from the center of the circle to a chord will also bisect the chord. So if you drop a perpendicular to both these chords, a common perpendicular, they will both bisect these chords as well. तो इसका लेंथ बन जाएगा 3. Let's say this is E and this is F, and FD का लेंथ बन जाएगा 2. So that is what we know here. We also know that OD is R and OB is also R. So that is what we know here. Fairly straightforward context that we have here. So let's say the value of OE is X, OB is R and EF is 1. Okay? We can say that in this triangle OFD, in triangle OFD, what do we have? OD square. OD square is equal to OF square plus FD square. तो OD square तो R square है. R square is nothing but OF square, that is X plus 1 the whole square plus FD square, which is 2 square, that is 4. In triangle OEB, again if you look at this, you will get OB square is equal to OE square plus EB square. ठीक है. Now OB square is again R, तो R square OB is again R, so R square आ जाएगा. OE square is nothing but X square and EB square is 3 square, that is 9. Now ये R square and R square are equal, so we can equate these two, find X, find R and end of the story. तो यहाँ पे let's equate the right hand sides of both the equations. So X plus 1 the whole square plus 4 is equal to X square plus 9. So X square plus 2X plus 1 plus 4 is X square plus 9. X square will get cancelled out, 2x will be equal to 9 minus 5, that is 4, x will be equal to 2. Now if x is equal to 2, we can just plug it in this equation so that we can easily figure out. R square is going to be 2 square, that is 4 plus 9, R will be equal to root of 13. So option A is the correct answer. You can also think about it. ठीक है, एक छोटे से context में you can think about it. Think about it like this. R square minus 4 is something square. ठीक है, and R square minus 9 is something square. R square minus 4 is something square. R square minus 9 is something square. Try to plug in the options. 13 minus 4 9, 13 minus 9 4. Mostly this is going to be my answer. ठीक है, so you can do it like that as well and then plug it in and just check if x is consistent in both the sides and you should be good to go. कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं होना चाहिए, दोनों के बीच का वैल्यू 1 आना चाहिए. So R square minus 4 is 9, which is 3 square. R square minus 9 is 4, which is 2 square. 3 और 2 के बीच का gap is 1. That basically completes your answer. So if you are someone who wants to avoid these kind of calculations and wants to use options, even that is a way in which you can do that. सिर्फ ऑप्शन चूज करके you can manage it. And अगर और भी ज़्यादा अच्छा इंस्टिंक्ट है, you know that 2 square 4, 3 square 9, 4 9 13, you can simply go for this. ठीक है, because यहाँ पे you will easily be able to figure it out कि मतलब 4 and 9 form that pair, जहाँ पे if you remove 9 it's a perfect square, if you remove 4 there is a perfect square. So वैसे करके you can manage this easily. Alright. Yeah, Arkodipto. So with instinct you will get these kind of things. तो हो जाएगा. Not a very difficult thing to come up with. Fine. Alright. So again have a look at the previous one. अगर नहीं समझ में आ गया कुछ तो let me know and we will look at the next one till the time. Or if you are done with the previous one, you can have a look at the next one. And we'll start solving it in another minute. 8:32 ko we'll start solving this one. I think this is the 5th question of the day. Yeah, and for those of you who are struggling with the concept, simple concept है. If you have a diameter, then whatever, this angle will be 90 degrees. जो भी subtend होगा वहाँ पे. Same thing you can extrapolate on this side as well. This will basically be a nice rectangle that you have. Think about it on those lines and you should be fine. Another way of drawing the same diagram is this slightly neater way. Yeah, so this is 26 and this is your rectangle ABCD. Yeah, Arkudiptu, you are right. So again 26. As soon as you see 26, something should start appearing in your head. अगर वो हो रहा है तो you should be fine. So let's start with this one. Let's see what we need to do यहाँ पे. So in this case radius is 13. So diameter becomes 26. Question क्या है? What is the possible length and breadth of ABCD? We know that L square plus B square because this is 90 degrees ना. Rectangle का property याद रख लेना हमेशा. एक rectangle है. You will basically have AC as the diameter. The diagonal of the rectangle will be the diameter of the circle as well, जो circumscribe करता है. Janvi, yes, your answer is correct. Pythagorean triplet, yes, Janvi, perfect. So L square plus B square is what you are going to get as 26 because ये 90 degrees होगा subtended by the diameter and that's why AC square will be AB square plus BC square. So यहाँ पे अपने को just options plug in करके देखने हैं what exactly happens. ठीक है, because there is no other information that has been given to us, only this information has been given to us. So we have to plug in the values of L, B and figure it out. अब यहाँ पे 24 and 10 is given to us. So 24 square is 576, 10 square is 100, दोनों मिला के बनेगा 676 which is 26 square. करेक्ट आर्कोदिप्तो, ऑप्शन यूज करना है. So this works perfectly, so this should be our answer. बाकी भी चेक करके देख लेते हैं, not required but just to be sure let's check it. 625 plus 81 will be 620 plus 80 is 706. So definitely not 676. This is 26 square. Yeah. 25 plus 10, 25 square is 625, 10 square is 100. You will again get 725 not equal to 676. 24 square plus 12 square, 24 square will be 576 plus 144 करेंगे, you will get some random number 720 I believe. So again not 676. So the only option that is right is option A, 24, 10. And this is a CAT question by the way. Actual CAT question. I'm not making this up. So for those of you who are wondering कि CAT ऐसे हो सकता है, हाँ हो सकता है. CAT is not CAT 2023. उतना याद रख लेना. CAT is also CAT 2021. CAT 2021 was also CAT rather. CAT 2017 was also CAT and so on. So it's not as if only CAT 2023 is my frame of reference. ठीक है? चलो I'll show you the next question. Those of you who are done can have a look at it. And in case again the same disclaimer for every question. If there is anything you are not understood, if there is any doubt, let me know. I'll try to resolve it. But mostly manageable questions and everything is fairly scientific. So ऐसा नहीं है कि we are applying some formulas that you would have never seen before. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. We are applying stuff that you would already know. Yeah. This is a slightly difficult one, I would say. Yeah. So let's look at this and let's try to see what we can make of this question. So E, F, G, H lie on the sides A, B, C, D of a square A, B, C, D. So if this is the square, let's say ये square है, and A, B, C, D is the square. Now E, F, G, H lie on sides A, B, C, D such that E, F, G, H is also a square. And we know that CG is longer than EB. CG is longer than EB. So CG, G lies on CD, right? Yeah. CG is longer than EB. तो जितना GD है उतना ही EB होना चाहिए. Yeah. And that's why we will be able to say that. Okay, I made some mistake, right? CG is longer. Acha, E is on AB. Oh, so sorry. Alright. E is on AB. So CG is greater than EB. So E should be here. Okay. So F should be somewhere here and H should be somewhere here. If I join HE, GF, EF and GH, तो ये भी EF, GH भी एक square बनेगा, right? So this is what we know here. Now we have to figure out what is the ratio of length of EB to that of CG. EB divided by CG कितना है करके पूछा गया है. Alright, so in this kind of questions, what you can do is you can simply say that EB अगर X है and CG 1 unit है, it doesn't matter, right? I am saying that let EB be X, let CG be 1. EB to CG का ratio क्या हो जाएगा? X हो जाएगा. If I am able to figure out the value of X, I am sorted. Now if EB is X and CG is 1 and this is basically a square, I can say that DG should also be X. I can say that HD should be 1. I can say that AH should be X, AE should be 1, BF should be 1, FC should be X. Okay? Now we can say that the side of the larger square, AB let's say, larger square का side क्या होगा? X plus 1. What will be the side of the smaller square, the inner square? If you look at this right angled triangle, you will see that EF, जो छोटे square का एक side है, that will be nothing but root of x square plus 1. ये होगा. Now what do we know? We know that EFGH is a square whose area is 62.5%. Now 62.5% for the regular viewers of the daily drill, you would know very quickly that 62.5% is nothing but 5 by 8. Okay? So we are saying that the area of the smaller square is 5 by 8 the area of the larger square. So 5 by 8 into x plus 1 the whole square will be x square plus 1. If we are squaring both sides, that's how we'll get the area. अब इसको अगर expand करते हैं, we'll get 5x square plus 2x into 5 that is 10x plus 1 into 5 that is 5 is equal to 8x square plus 8, right? So you are going to get 3x square minus 10x plus 3 equals 0, right? So now we know that the product of the two numbers is 3 into 3 that is 9. So product of two numbers is 9 and the sum is 10. So ऐसे कौन से नंबर होंगे जिनका प्रोडक्ट is 9 and जिनका sum will be 10? 9 and 1. So we can basically say that it is 3x square minus 9x minus x plus 3 equals 0. Now there is a shortcut to this as well. I'll tell you the shortcut as well. चलो एक बार ये हो जाएगा. I'll show you the shortcut as well. Now 3x into x minus 3 minus 1 into x minus 3 is equal to 0. So you can say 3x minus 1 into x minus 3 is equal to 0. X equal to either 1 by 3 or x equal to 3. दोनों में से कुछ तो एक मिलेगा. X equal to either 1 by 3 or x equal to 3. Now what have we been told? We have been told that CG is longer than EB, right? So CG is longer than EB का मतलब क्या हो गया? X जो है ना, that is less than 1. ठीक है? X is less than 1. That is what it means. If x is less than 1, मेरे पास दो ऑप्शन थे. One was 1 by 3 and one was 3. So what should be my answer? My answer should be x is equal to 1 by 3. So this will be the right one. This will not be the right one. Because we have been told that CG is longer than EB. So 1 is greater than x or x is less than 1. So I'll go for this one. So the correct answer here is going to be x itself, which is 1:3. So the way in which we take variables is also very important. अगर यहाँ पे मैं a b लेता and then a plus b the whole square हो जाता और root of a square plus b square हो जाता, then it would have been very painful for you. But in this case, because we wanted to find the ratio, we don't have to find the actual value of AH and DH and वो करना ही नहीं है, और वो शायद कर भी नहीं सकते because we have too many variables here, right? Because that is the case, we can use a nice ratio and say that let EB be equal to X and CG be equal to 1. चलेगा ना? ऐसा कोई तो रेशियो होगा जहाँ पे EB will be equal to X and CG will be equal to 1, right? And that's basically where we start this question, and that will make our life slightly easier. Now coming to the shortcut that I had promised, as soon as you reach this part, ठीक है, as soon as you reach this part, you basically have to understand how to split the terms. Again, as I mentioned, product 9 होना चाहिए, sum 10 होना चाहिए. If you don't want to do all these steps, you know that the two digits have to be 9 and 1. ठीक है. Now the two digits have to be 9 and 1. That is something that we know. You simply divide it by the coefficient of x square. 9 by 3 कर लो, 1 by 3 कर लो. You will get your answer as 3 and 1 by 3. That's it. So वो directly मिल जाएगा. Then you don't need to worry about anything else. ठीक है. That is the shortcut. So generally we say that minus 10 है ना, तो इसको minus 9 and minus 1 में split करेंगे. So you will get minus 9 and minus 1. We will flip the signs, so 9 and 1, and then divide it by the coefficient of x square. So 9 by 3 and 1 by 3. So these are the steps that are involved. Of course, when we do algebra, we will look at it at some point in time. But abhi ke liye just understand that there is this shortcut that exists. Alright. So check it out. If you are not able to understand that one, let me know. This is the next question that we have. So have a look at this one and see if you are able to get it. Give you another minute to solve, and then we can start solving it. So there is a concept. I'll just tell you what the concept is. I'll not spoil the answer, but ये concept है. So if this is R1, this is R2, this part is H1 and this part is H2, then we know that R1 by R2 is equal to H1 by H2. Very important concept. So mensuration कोन के अगर questions आते हैं जहाँ पे कट कर रहे हैं, वॉल्यूम की बात हो रही है, definitely you should know this concept. You can't start proving this during the test. ठीक है? So the ratio of the radii will be the same as the ratio of the two heights that are there. And that is, वो अगर समझ में आ गया ना, this question is extremely easy. कुछ भी नहीं करना है, 2 स्टेप में आंसर आ जाएगा इसका. If you know that. Yeah, so let's look at this. So a right circular cone of height 12 feet stands on its base which has diameter 8 feet. So let's draw a fresh cone. We know that the height of this cone is 12 feet, ये height है, and base का diameter is 8 feet. So if I drop a perpendicular here, ये बन जाएगा radius. This will be 4 feet. ठीक है? The tip of the cone is cut off with a plane which is parallel to the base and 9 feet from the base. तो ये 12 feet है ना, यहाँ पे ये वाला एक प्लेन से ना ये पूरा ऊपर का पार्ट हमने कट कर दिया, इसको उड़ा दिया. ठीक है? Now because we have cut this entire part, what is going to happen here? This part we know that it was 9 feet from the base. So ये वाला जो height था ना base से, that was 9 feet. So यहाँ से यहाँ तक का height कितना होगा? 3 feet होगा, because the entire cone is of height 12 feet ना. If ये वाला part is 9, ये वाला part will become 3, and that is something that will help you crack the question also. ठीक है? Now what do we know in this case? We know that R1 by R2 is H1 by H2, and we can prove it using similarity of triangles directly. So very basic concept, R1 by R2 is H1 by H2. So we have to figure out what is the proportion of the what is the part that is left, or what is the proportion of the volume that is left. ठीक है? Now think about it. यहाँ पे अगर इसका height 3 है, So height of the smaller cone, height of the smaller cone chalo, was 3 feet. Height of the larger cone was 12 feet. तो इसका रेशियो 1/4 हो गया. So h1/h2 will also be 1/4, right? Sorry, h1/h2 will be 1/4, which means that r1/r2 will also be 1/4. So we have to understand one thing. अगर हम ये दोनों के वॉल्यूम को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं ना, I am basically saying that I am comparing the volume of the smaller cone, which is pi r1 cube h1, and I am comparing it with 1/3 pi r square r2 square h2. ठीक है. अब मेरे को पता है कि r1/r2 का रेशियो इज 1/4, r1/r2 again is 1/4, h1/h2 is also 1/4. So can I say that if the radii are in the ratio 1:4, the volumes of the cones will be in the ratio of 1/4 cube or 1/64? ये समझ में आ गया तो the question gets solved on its own, कुछ नहीं करना उसके बाद, right? So 1/64 is basically the volume that has been removed. तो मेरे को ऐसे कुछ करने का जरूरत नहीं है कि आई हैव चेक्ड दी स्मॉलर कोन का वॉल्यूम, आई हैव चेक्ड दी लार्जर कोन का वॉल्यूम, दोनों वॉल्यूम को सब्ट्रैक्ट कर दिया और आई ट्राई टू रिमेंबर अ फॉर्मूला फॉर द फर्स्ट टर्म. ये सब चीजें अगर मैं करने चालू कर दूं, इट विल बी वेरी पेनफुल फॉर मी. So what I am saying in this context is, I am saying that the volume of the smaller cone upon the volume of the larger cone is 1:64. If the smaller cone is thrown away, the volume of the remaining part is 63/64 of the original cone, na? So 63/64 into 1/3 pi, we are supposed to take it as 22/7 into r square. What was the radius of the original cone? 4 square, 16. What was the height of the original cone? 12. Now we just have to simplify. So you will get 7 3s are 21, 3s are 63, and you will get 16 4s are 64, 4 11s are 20, 2 11s are 22, and 2 6s are 12. So you will get 11 6 are 66 into 3 is 198. So Argodipto, yes, the answer that you submitted is right. 198 will be the answer to this question. But ये हमेशा याद रख लेना, always remember this fact that r1/r2 will be equal to h1/h2, which in turn will also impact the volumes, because volumes are nothing but comparison. So 1/3 pi तो निकल जाएगा. वॉल्यूम का रेशियो मतलब क्या हो गया? r1/r2 multiplied by r1/r2 multiplied by h1/h2, and I know that each of these is the same. So अगर r1/r2 1/4 है, then the volumes of these two will be 1/4 into 1/4 into 1/4. तो 1/4 क्यूब डायरेक्टली अपने को मिल जाएगा, which means that the smaller cone was 1/64th the volume of the larger cone, which means that the remaining frustum is 63/64 times the volume of the larger cone. That's it. And then you have to just plug in the values and do it. ठीक है? So I hope that one was clear. That was possibly one of the difficult ones if you don't know the concept. अगर concept पता है तो again you can do it orally as well. 1/63/64 dead giveaway, 22/7 है, 63 ऊपर न्यूमरेटर में आ रहा है, इससे ज्यादा इंडिकेशन हो ही नहीं सकता, right? So that is what we are looking at. So now look at this one. Take a minute to solve this, and then we can look at the solution to this particular question. So parallelogram ABCD has an area of 72 square centimeter, and sides CD and AD have lengths 9 and 16. P will be a point on CD such that AP is perpendicular to CD. The area in square centimeter of APD is what? So have a look at this, and then you can maybe look at the solution also. Try to draw the figure after you look at the question properly. Nahi to you will end up drawing something which does not make a lot of sense. So use your dimensions properly. वो perpendicular ठीक से fit होना चाहिए. So if someone is saying that AP is perpendicular to CD, it will be best for you to make this AP. So that is basically the point. And बाकी AB is the longer side or CD is the longer side, वो देख के फिर you can easily plot the rest of it. So यहाँ से start कर लेना. Try it for a minute, and then we will have a look at the solution for this one. Alright, so let's have a look at this one. Arkodipto, I think you're right. Let me just check once. Chalo, I'll just check for you. I don't remember the answers. Yeah, I think you're right. So let's look at this. So AP perpendicular होना चाहिए, that we have established because AP is perpendicular to CD and this is the orientation that is the most friendly to us. So either AB will be the shorter side or AB will be the longer side. Let's see what happens here. Sides CD. So AB and CD will be the parallel sides and AD and BC will be the parallel sides. So if you just draw a parallelogram ना, कोई भी quadrilateral draw कर लो ना, you will figure out. So CD and AB will be parallel to each other. तो जो CD का length है वही AB का length होगा. So CD is 9 and the other side is 16. So AB is the shorter side. So let's draw this like this. अच्छा, AP is perpendicular to CD था क्या? ठीक है. So we can let go of this. We can just not draw it to scale and still continue with the same figure, right? So let's do ABCD यहाँ पे because AP is perpendicular to CD. CD का length we have been told is 9 centimeters. So although it looks not 9, we are going ahead with this. ठीक है, तो ये वाला part 16 हो जाएगा, ये वाला entire part is 9. We have also been told that the area of the parallelogram is 72 square centimeter. We have to find the area of the triangle APD. ये triangle का area निकालना है, right? So AP and PD अगर अपने को मिल जाता है, we'll be able to find the area of this triangle easily. So let's have a look at this. We know that area of a parallelogram is nothing but base into height. Now base in this case is 9. So 72 will be equal to 9 into AP. ठीक है? So AP will be equal to 8. तो यहाँ पे AP 8 मिल गया. If AP is 8 and this is a right angle triangle, then DP निकालना should not be difficult. Two ways to do it. One way of doing it is by using normal Pythagoras theorem. So AD square will be AP square plus PD square. AD square is 16 square, AP square is 8 square and PD square is of course PD square. So PD square will be 16 square, 256 minus 64, which will be 192, which will be 8 root 3, right? PD. Because it is 192 is 64 into 3. ठीक है, 64 into 3 192 हो गया, तो ये 8 root 3 हो जाएगा PD का वैल्यू. And now we can easily find out the area of triangle APD. Half into base into height, half into 8 root 3 into 8. So you will get 32 root 3 as the answer. So option A is indeed correct. Also what you can do here is you can look at the triangle. One side is 16, one side is 8. Hypotenuse is 16, one side is 8. Can you think of a triangle जहाँ पे one of the sides is half the length of the hypotenuse, right? So we are talking about a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, side opposite to 30 degrees is half the length of the hypotenuse. Side opposite to 60 degrees is root 3 by 2 the length of the hypotenuse. And side opposite to 90 degrees is of course the hypotenuse. ठीक है? So अगर ये और ये established है, this one has to be root 3 by 2. Right angle triangle है तो. ठीक है? So you need not even calculate. ये वाला steps you can easily avoid if you are aware of 30, 60, 90 and you know that you can apply it here. So if that part is clear to you, then your life will become much easier. You can directly jump from 8 to 8 root 3 to this step and finish it off. So that is something that might quicken your thought process. Alright, I hope this one is clear. I'll show you the next one. This is possibly the toughest of the lot because of the options. So I'll share a bit on question selection by the time you are trying this one. The previous one, I hope everybody is clear with that one. If there is any doubt in that one or any of the previous ones, let me know. We are, I think, at question number 9 now. So this is the second last question for the day. So any of the previous questions, if you have anything, let me know. Okay? Yes. So by the time you are solving it, for those of you who haven't watched the video on quant question selection, so I had floated a video last week, I think, on quant question selection, how to select questions well when it comes to the quant section. So what all parameters should you be looking at, how to make sure that you are selecting questions subconsciously without spending a lot of time on judging the level of difficulty of the question. So कुछ parameters थे that I had covered there. These were the parameters. I have elaborated it in that video. So maybe you can have a look at that video for a better understanding of what I am going to say. But you have to understand what is the concept that is tested or concepts that are tested. Second thing is अगर वो complex नहीं है, if it's something that is manageable, good. अगर arithmetic है, simple एक time speed distance का एक basic question है या time and work का एक basic question है, और let's say for example geometry में there is a simple question like the previous one, let's say, those things we can manage. The second thing that you have to consider is your strengths/weaknesses. If a topic is from your area of strength, then definitely you should think about solving it. So I will not say that इसमें से कुछ भी है तो solve कर लो. I have given the concept of green lamps and red lamps in that particular video. Have a look at it. So many green lamps and you should be inclined towards solving that particular question. So many red lamps and you should be inclined towards skipping that particular question. So many green lamps/red lamps and you should be looking at that question but at a later point in time. So ये सारे cases वहाँ पे cover किए गए हैं. So whether it's your strength or weakness that matters. The third thing is the numbers within the question. So if the question has very weird numbers, like we saw that number, right? 4 into root 2 minus 1. Now that might not really be something that is palatable to everyone. So maybe that will count as a red lamp to a few people. And options. Now options के लिए I am talking about this particular question. Right? तो यहाँ पे अगर options देखेंगे ना, वो options देख के ही आधे लोग डर जाएंगे, I'm pretty sure. So if you look at the numbers here, pi divided by 4 root 3 raised to half, pi by 6 raised to half, pi by 3 raised to 3 का cube, the square root, pi by 4 का square root. So a lot of people will get scared looking at these particular numbers. And that is again going to be an issue, right? That could be a problem. Arkodip, I think your answer is right from what I remember, but we'll have to solve it. Okay? So that is what I meant when I said that the options can be difficult or these are not really good to look at, right? So maybe have a look at that video. Your selection might become better. There are parameters that you can follow and implement in your mock tests as well. अभी ये वाला question देख लेते हैं जल्दी से. In a circle with center O and radius 1 centimeter. So there is this circle that we have. This is the radius, center O and radius is 1 centimeter. Arc AB makes an angle 60 degrees at O. So let's say this is A and this is B. Let's say this is 60 degrees. Let's assume. Let R be the region bounded by the radii OA, OB and arc AB. So this is the sector. ठीक है, ये पूरा का पूरा region है ना, ये sector है. If C and D are 2 points on OA and OB, C and D are 2 points on OA and OB such that OC is equal to OD. तो ये parallel line भी बन जाएगा. और rather OC is equal to OD. चलो parallel कुछ नहीं है, एक ही line है. Yeah, so I'll just mark two things. Yeah, two dashes. So OC is equal to OD. ये मेरे को दिया गया है. And the area of the triangle OCD is half that of R. What was R? R is the region. R is the sector. ठीक है. So area of triangle OCD is half that of R. We have to find the length of OC in centimeters. ठीक है. So we can find the area of the sector because we know the radius, we know the angle, and we know the area of this triangle because it's a very interesting triangle. Angle COD is 60 and OC is equal to OD. That makes triangle OCD an equilateral triangle because all three angles will be 60 degrees. Right? So first let's look at the area of this sector. Area of this sector O dash AB is going to be equal to theta, which is the angle subtended by the sector, which is 60 divided by 360 into pi r square. So pi is there in all the options, so we'll keep pi as it is, and radius is 1, so 1 square will be 1. तो ये हो गया area of the sector. We have also been told that the area of triangle OCD is half that of R. So इसका half हो जाएगा area of the triangle. Area of an equilateral triangle is going to be root 3 by 4 into side square. So root 3 by 4 into OC का length पूछा हुआ है. Let OC be equal to x. तो ये बन जाएगा x square. OC को x ले लेते हैं, सारे के सारे x बन जाएंगे. ठीक है. So this is what we will have in this case. 66 are 360. 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6, right? तो क्या मिल गया मेरे को? X square is equal to pi divided by 3 root 3, right? Pi divided by 3 root 3. Or in other words, X will be equal to square root of pi divided by 3 root 3. Or pi upon 3 root 3 the whole raised to half. That is the value of X, which is the value of OC. Pi upon 4 root 3 raised to half, no. Pi upon 6 definitely no. Pi upon 3 root 3 raised to half, perfect. Chalo, option C is right, option D is definitely wrong. So option C will be the correct answer. Arkodipto, yes, your answer is right. So that is basically how you solve it. Very easy question. यहाँ पे one thing you have to remember, ये R जो है ना, you have to understand that R is not triangle OAB. Some people might fall into the trap and say that R is area of triangle OAB, but it has been explicitly mentioned that R is the region bounded by OA, OB and arc AB, not OA, OB and the segment AB. So be very careful when you are reading this question. Otherwise, you might fall into this very basic trap. Thankfully, the options will tell you that area of this triangle and that triangle you need not compare because वहाँ पे pi आता ही नहीं. But because there is a pi in each of the options, you might still want to go back and check whether you are on the right track or not. So that is something that you have to be careful about. But बहुत सारे लोग इसमें फंस जाते हैं during the test as well. Because you are in a hurry to read the question and solve it, you might fall into this very basic trap. ठीक है? Last question for the day. Very easy question. And if you know basic trigonometry, basic formula for area of a parallelogram, then I think you should be good to go. So have a look at this one. Take a minute to solve this, and this is the last one for the day. So I'll just draw it for the benefit of those of you who are attempting it. ABCD has an area of 48 square centimeters. CD is 8 centimeters. चलो CD ले लेते हैं यहाँ पे 8 and this will be B, this will be A. ठीक है, ABCD बन गया parallelogram. CD is A and AD is S. Which of the following is necessarily true? And we know that the area is 48 square centimeter. So try this out, and we can discuss this within another 30-45 seconds. Straightforward question है. So manageable question. Yeah, so let's look at this one. Now इसके लिए there is a very small formula that exists. So if you have a parallelogram with sides A, B and the angle between the two sides as theta, area of this parallelogram will be nothing but AB into sine theta, sine of the angle between A and B. ठीक है? So if you know this concept, your life will become much easier. Even if you don't know this concept, if you know the triangle wala concept, same ही चीज है, because a parallelogram consists of two triangles which are of equal areas. So half AB sin theta होता है in case of a triangle. In case of a parallelogram, it's simply twice of that. So AB sin theta होता है. So the area of this parallelogram 48 is equal to 8 into S into sin theta, sine of the angle between them. So we will get S or sin theta is equal to 6 by S. Now what can we say about the value of sin theta in the context of the area of a parallelogram? Sin theta will range from 0 to 1, right? So sin theta max will be equal to 1 if it is a rectangle and the angle is 90 degrees, right? So sin theta ka maximum value can be 1. So 6 by x ka maximum value will be 1. So what can we say about S, right? S अगर मेरे को 8 into S into sin theta का value 48 चाहिए, sin theta can maximum be equal to 1. So what can we say about S in that particular context? That is basically going to be your answer, right? So in this particular context, अगर sin theta maximum है तो S minimize हो जाएगा. So we can say that the minimum value of S is equal to 6. So S will always be greater than or equal to 6, and that's why the correct option here is option B, S greater than or equal to 6. Yeah, so that is basically the last question. So Arkodipto, your answer was correct, right? So S greater than or equal to 6. Fine. So I'll wait for a minute or so. If there are any doubts, anything you have not understood, something that you need more help with, let me know. I'll try to cover it. But the questions that we had were, as in we had these many questions for the day. So yeah, that is more or less everything from my side that I wanted to cover. So if there are no doubts or anything, I can just close the session. Yes, and next week, Monday will be logical reasoning. That is the daily drill that we have planned for Monday. So the test should be live on Sunday evening and you should be fine. Alright, so I am assuming there are no doubts. Thank you so much for turning up for the session and thanks Arkodipto for that. So I hope all of you were able to understand everything. If there is something you are not understood, not been able to figure out, just put it in the comment section once the video is up and I'll get back to you with the solution in case there is something that you are finding difficult, right? So on that note, okay, if we take height as 6, hypotenuse should be more by options, can we choose to be? Janvi, again वही ना, the point is, okay, you can visualize it as well. थोड़ा सा you can visualize this. I'll just wait for some time, then I'll finish it. You can visualize this. So let's say I'm looking at this side. ठीक है, I'm looking at this height that exists. Now we are saying that ये slant है ना, ये height अगर है, this height once it keeps on becoming slanted, the slanted thing will be larger than the height, longer than the height rather, right? अगर ये a d dash है और a d dash is perpendicular to CD, ठीक है? If a d dash is perpendicular to CD, I can say that AD जैसे जैसे slanted होता जाएगा वैसे वैसे उसका value बढ़ता जाएगा. So we can say with certainty that the perpendicular distance will be the shortest distance in terms of the height. What is the perpendicular distance or when will the distance be perpendicular? When this is a rectangle. अगर ये 8 है, area 48 है, this has to be 6 ना. So S will always be greater than or equal to 6. So I am assuming Janvi you are trying to say the same thing. That height 6 आएगा but hypotenuse will always be greater than 6. So as it keeps on getting slanted, the length will keep on going beyond 6. It always has to be greater than or equal to 6. Alright, sure. So on that note, we'll close the session. I'll see you again on Monday with the next daily drill, which is, I believe, logical reasoning. It should be up on Sunday evening around 10 p.m. I think it will be up. You can take it at any point in time, but it is recommended that you take it before the session so that you can derive the maximum benefit from the session. And if you have missed any of the previous daily drills, everything is there. You can take it in the form of a test. You can look at the solutions as well. So don't worry about it. That thing will be live till the time you take the CAT. But it's recommended that you take it before the session. So yeah, I have closed the session now and have a great